We'll start from the global bonds market. That's taken a breather. Yesterday we told you about it, and sovereign yields retreating from multi-decade highs. Investors are returning to battered government debt after a sharp sell-off. The pullback follows a broad rise in long-term borrowing costs across major economies, driven by concerns over persistent inflation, growing government debt, and heightened geopolitical tensions. U.S. 30-year Treasury yields that had climbed to their highest level since 2007. Japan's 10-year yield that reached a three-decade high. European markets also face pressure, with German and French long-term yields reaching their highest levels in years. Rising oil prices, uncertainty over global economic outlook have further strengthened inflation concerns and raised questions about the path of interest rates. The latest retreat in yields offers some relief to bond markets, although analysts warn that fiscal pressures and weak investor confidence could keep growing costs elevated. A lot of data coming out from the UK. Today we have their inflation, and we see that it accelerated in July after energy bills surged, ending a short period of respite for hard-pressed British households. Consumer prices rose 2.9% from a year earlier, up from a 15-month low of 2.6% in June. This is according to the Office for National Statistics. The increase is in line with median forecast of economists surveyed by some reporters, and the Bank of England forecasts a pickup to 2.8%. The jump largely reflects a 13% rise in the price cap that sets household energy bills, and this is only part offset by cheaper motor fuel. Services inflation, a gauge of domestic pressures watched by the Bank of England, that's dropped to 3.4% from 3.6%. Core inflation, which excludes energy, food, alcohol, and tobacco, that's held steady at 2.6%. South Korea chip maker SK Hynix plans to buy back about $28 billion worth of its own shares, and it's part of efforts to enhance shareholder value and strengthen investor confidence. The planned repurchase comes as the company expands its semiconductor operations and benefits from strong demand for advanced memory chips, particularly those used in artificial intelligence applications. The buyback is expected to support the company's share price by reducing the number of shares in circulation while giving investors a larger stake in the company's future earnings. SK Hynix remains one of the world's leading memory chip manufacturers, with growing investment in high bandwidth memory and other advanced technologies supporting its position in the global AI semiconductor markets. And then we move to Asia. In India, exports to the U.S. continue to show resilience despite a year of tariff disruptions under President Donald Trump, with several sectors maintaining or expanding their presence in the American market. Recent trade data shows India's merchandise exports to the U.S. remain broadly stable in the April to June quarter, even as tariffs weigh on some key product categories. Exports to the U.S. fell marginally by 0.06% year-on-year during the quarter, while India's overall exports recorded stronger growth. And electronics, pharmaceuticals, and other products have helped cushion the impact of higher duties. India's government says that about 45% of its exports to the U.S. remain outside the latest additional 10% Section 301 tariff, including generic pharmaceuticals, smartphones, and some products already covered by separate U.S. tariff measures. And in Indonesia, the central bank has kept the benchmark interest rate unchanged as the newly appointed governor projects further gains for the rupiah, signaling confidence in the currency's outlook. The decision reflects the central bank's focus on maintaining currency stability while supporting economic growth amid evolving global financial conditions. The rupiah's recent performance strengthens expectations that improved market sentiment and supportive policy measures could sustain further gains. The central bank also continues to monitor inflation, capital flows, and global interest rates movement as it balances currency stability with domestic economic activity. Crypto is in the news this morning. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission is proposing a new regulatory framework for certain investment contracts involving crypto assets, seeking to provide clearer pathways for digital asset companies to raise capital while maintaining investor projections. Under the proposed regulation, crypto assets, the SEC would create two exemptions from existing securities registration requirements. One would allow eligible offerings of up to $5 million over 4 years, while another would permit offerings of up to $75 million in a 12-month period. And this is subject to specified conditions and disclosure requirements. And finally, OpenAI has introduced a new version of its marquee ChatGPT chat box designed exclusively for teens, with stronger safeguards and monitoring after facing criticism and legal complaints that it drove some users to suicide. Dubbed ChatGPT for teens, the modified parameters automatically deploy for any user who registers as age 13 to 17 or is detected to be underaged by the company through usage patterns or account age. Most of the safeguards utilized in the ChatGPT for teens model already existed for ChatGPT accounts belonging to minors, such as restrictions when dealing with content related to self-harm, violence, eating disorders, and graphic sexuality. And those are the global stories. All right, thank you so much for still staying with us as we head, well, to the closing moments. Now, let's just see what's happening in the markets. That's Nigeria's local bourse at this time. We know that we have been closing in the red. Yesterday was another red close, and it does seem like the sentiment is still on. That's the negative sentiment. So we see that the market closed at 241,000 and is still there. But this morning, the oil share has dropped 0.06%. And major drivers of this is profit taking on Fidelity Bank, on First Holdco, on Fortis Global Insurance. Okomu Oil still in the red. Con International Energy Insurance, those are still experiencing profit taking. That's keeping the market in the bearish zone. But we'll see what the numbers will look like at 1:30. I'll be back for Business Incorporated to take you around the world of business in 25 minutes. I'm Ini John Mekwa. I wish you the best of the rest of the day until 1:30.